I think our way of working in ABB is really showing the benefit this quarter. We had put in a very strong quarter of order growth and a positive book-to-bill, and as you said, also a record profit. So it really shows this benefit of having a broad industrial exposure, especially into the electrification of everything these days. And with the boost what we see in data center and the need for electricity, that is really driving ABB at the moment.
Yeah, and is that something you're also seeing then across the board, particularly in China? We've just been speaking about it in other sectors, but for yourself as well, is China still seeing the kind of demand picture you're looking for?
Yeah, overall, China, we see the same trend there as we see across the globe, is that the world is going electric, and the electrification part of the business and the electrification trend of more renewables and the decarbonization of industries, it is happening in China as well as in Europe and Americas these days. So, of course, there are challenges, especially in the building market in the US, in China, but we are able to compensate with some of the more of the utility, the power side, or the electrification side of the business that takes up some of the slower part of what we see in the, especially in the residential and the building market in China.
Morten, we've had nice to see you, by the way. It's the first time I've spoken to you, so welcome to the show, as Arabile said. But I just want to confirm what's going on in China at the moment. There is a raft of measures on an almost daily basis, whether it be monetary, whether it be fiscal as well. Do you actually see anything that's coming from these measures that's actually going to shore up the position of the Chinese economy?
I think many of these measures were kind of announced in the last days and couple of weeks, so it will take some time before we see them come through in the numbers side. But I'm confident that this will be a positive for China, because consumer spending, and which would also benefit us, especially in the refurbishments of home, home appliances, everything there. That will be a positive effect also for us on the electrification side, especially on the electrification side of business, but also more. Sorry, with more spend on the consumer side. We'd also need more machinery and more into the automation space. So overall, I see that as positive, but it will take some time because it's difficult to say when you will see it really coming through in the numbers.
In terms of Europe, Morten, if we can come back closer to home as well, Northern Europe, and you know better than I do, whether it be Scandinavia, whether it be Germany as well, is really struggling at the moment on an industrial and a manufacturing side of things as well. Again, we're going to get rate cuts. We're pretty nailed on for another rate cut this time, possibly again later in the year as well. How do you see the European situation at the moment as far as ABB is concerned?
Europe overall for us was up in the quarter, and it's the main trend, of course, it is to a lower comparable compared with last year. But we do see a lot of the investments happening, especially in the field of decarbonization of industries. So that is happening, especially in the Northern Europe, where there's a lot of, if we're talking about the green cement, the green mining, everything, which is decarbonization of these type of industries. So those investment, it's always when you have the question of how do we decarbonize, it's about electrification and automation. And that's kind of where we at ABB play in. So we're still confident in when we look at many of our markets. I think the bigger challenge is we need to make a bigger energy transition also in Europe and increase the availability of electricity for industries, because that will be a long-term challenge for Europe if we are having a higher energy prices compared with Americas and Asia. So that's more from a European perspective. I think that the Draghi report that was announced as well gives a good kind of signal and a good direction for what, let's say, we as European needs to do in the coming years.